Hey.
Prefer being called a dick, not a thank you.
Indeed, my good sir!
Why were you eating pussies?
No, sir. Dick. D-I-C-K.
And I asked online, okay, so when are you going to abolish the separate male and female divisions in the NCAA? I mean, you said that we can't have separate male and female bathrooms where biological males play, and where biological males go to one bathroom and biological females go to another. So why do we have separate divisions? Why do you have an NCAA and an NCAA men's division?
Yeah, where does this go?
I mean, eventually,
boil down.
I mean, eventually it goes to one place or another. Like, either we just say, this is a step too far, give me a break. Science says no. Or we say, anyone can be anything at any time. A man is a woman, and a woman is a man, and, it's in just that.
Have you ever seen any of the videos of people?
I have seen those videos.
Those videos are fascinating. Like, they wake up one day, and they're a woman, and the next day they're a man. And there was a guy on NPR, on Radio Lab, on the podcast, who transitioned at times of stress.
Makes perfect sense to me.
In the middle of having a conversation, I just switched.
But
I'm Paul now. I'm a man.
So when he's more stressed, does he switch into a woman? Because that'd be really sexist, right? I mean, I think that, like, if he's stressed at work and he switched into a woman and started crying, it seems it's kind of sexist to me. That's implying that women are the people who cry at work. So
yeah, it is sexist.
Also, this raises a bunch of other weird questions. Like, okay, if you're like, there's been this again. You want to talk about weird? There's been this weird push in parts of the trans community to suggest that a male who doesn't want to have sex with a biological male who says he's a female is now a sexist against transphobe. Is a transphobe, right? If you're a bad person, if you're a man who doesn't want to have sex with a man, a biological man, and doesn't make you gay to do that, right? If you have sex with a biological man who says he's a woman, that's straight sex. But if you were to have sex with a biological woman who says she's a man, you're gay.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
It's definitely weird, but I have seen the arguments and the blog posts and the tweets about men who discriminate against trans women, who do not want to date trans women.
And people keep saying, well, it's culturally defined. It's like, no, that's called evolution.
We might have a baby together.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It turns out that evolution wants men to have sex with women. Like, I'm sorry to break it to everybody, but evolution relies on human reproduction. Okay? If you put that thing in the wrong place, it ain't gonna reproduce. Like, that's just... Sorry, I mean, I don't know why I have to keep apologizing for science. And then they say that my party is the party of non-science. Like, what? Like, you're supposed to say that 2 minutes before my baby is born, and it's not a baby, and a man can be a woman, but I'm anti-science? I'm wildly confused by this.
Well, the whole thing is wildly confusing. But it's such a strange subject. It's such a strange subject that it's been brought to the forefront.
Again, I think it's about more the moral posturing than it is about people who actually think this is a major issue.
I think you're absolutely right. I think people love to be virtuous. They love to be on that side. They love to virtue signal.
How dare you?
Yeah.
It is the how dare you.
It's the how dare you with dicks. Or lack of fake dicks. But they don't really have a lot of fake dicks. They don't really go that far. They just sort of take testosterone and see what's up. But it's just... It's a weird facet of our society today that is unexpected. I mean, you go back 20, 30 years and it was an oddity. And, even during the Renee Richards thing, it was more of an oddity than anything.
I think
sort of accepted it.
Well, this is why I say I think that a lot of people who are virtue signaling are still treating it as an oddity. They just won't admit that.
Right.
I think that they're watching it because it's a service to them. And I think that's actually cool. I don't think that you should, put people who suffer from mental illness on the cover of magazines. I just don't. I think that that's bad strategy.
What about bodybuilding?
I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that much about bodybuilding. Do I look like I know that much about bodybuilding?
The argument I've heard
I'm a
is
CrossFit guy. I'm
what I heard the argument about bodybuilders is that they suffer from it as well. Is that in order to get that big, you almost have to have some sort of a body dysmorphia.
Mhm.
You'd have to not understand how insanely huge you are.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
be really into it. Their argument is they're really into it, and which makes sense to me. But I've heard people say that it's like almost like a reverse anorexia. Like they never feel like they're big enough.
yeah, I've seen that. People say that before, yeah.
Well, it's weird that the human mind is suspect or subject.
It's really variable, and it's really open to suggestion. Really open to suggestion. I mean, you see that
scares people about children in transition.
For sure. I mean, listen, you see it in everything, including
Jesus
chests. Like,
freaking Christ, man.
dudes wax their chest now. 30 years ago, nobody waxed their chest.
Are they waxing? Dudes are waxing?
They
Jamming?
shave their chest, wax their chest, whatever it is.
Questions about the youth in terms of young jamming.
Yeah, but I mean, you watch TV now, and every dude on TV has a chest as bare as my, 14-month-old sons.
I hear you.
And it's like, where did this come from? And this came from TV.
They're all chiseled.
And it also came from TV. And it was like TV. It was going to be men are going to be hairless now. This is the new trend. Men are going to be hairless. And you don't even get the Burt Reynolds bare chest anymore. And so if people are susceptible to even that with regard to fashion, like people have for 5 years people convinced themselves that skinny jeans were the thing. Like people are open to virtually any sort of suggestion.
Bell bottoms. They come in, they come out. Remember when they tried to bring bell bottoms back?
I did remember that.
Not
a good call.
They tried. And people are like, nah, not this one. Platforms, when they used to wear platform shoes.
That's why I'm just keeping around all my dad's old clothes, because eventually they're going to come back in again.
You never know. Yeah, the idea of fashion and culture also being like the same sort of mechanism that allows
I need a scope.
people to be variable when it comes to their gender. That's
I mean, you actually see there's a study, I thought this was fascinating, there's a study in Britain, or Poland, Britain, about sexual orientation. And what I found was 95% of people over the age of 60 identified as exclusively heterosexual. Of people who are under the age of 30, only 42% identified as exclusively heterosexual. And it's like, okay, well, in 2 generations, it's not that half the population became bisexual, right? That is not a scientific thing. That means that people are open to suggestion about their sexual behavior, which you would assume. Right? So assuming that culture has no impact, and this goes against the whole born this way aspect of even the homosexual rights movement, the gay rights movement, that says, oh, you were born this way. Like, I agree that there's a genetic component to sexual behavior, but the idea that that's why 50% of the UK population has shifted toward, I'm open to anything. The culture has something.
50%.
As I say, 95% of people over the age of 60, and then 42% of people under the age of 30.
Wow.
So that's it. So that's
42%.
Bisexual in the UK? No, 42% people say they're extremely heterosexual.
Extremely, 40%.
Say exclusively heterosexual. So 60%, nearly 60%, 58% say that they're on the spectrum, but not exclusively heterosexual.
That's fascinating. I wonder if they only talk to women who are drunk. Like young drunk girls, they get crazy.
Like
it's also
I mean,
it's like
Adam
they're trying to.
it's an Adam Carolla thing, right? Where Adam has a whole shtick about like in the future there's going to be a point where guys are considered gay if they won't kiss another dude. Like, what are you gay? You afraid that you're gay? Kiss another dude and show me you're not gay. We've gone around the bend a little bit.
We have. Well, there's also this thing that I think happens when you have 2 very clear sides. Where you have teams, and you sort of have a line in the sand you're not supposed to cross. There's the right side, and there's the left side. And we have that in this country. We really don't have a third-party option.
No.
All our third parties are kind of a joke. And whenever you have 2 opposing viewpoints, people dig in. Have you seen this new documentary about William F. Buckley and Gore Vidal and the debates
No,
they
I've heard
had?
about it. Is it any good?
It's great. It's really interesting. Debates they had during the 1968 election. It's fascinating.
I mean, I've watched some of those debates, but yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah, particularly the one where Buckley threatens to punch Vidal.
Yeah,
That's pretty
he calls
spectacular.
him queer and says, "I'll sock you in the face and you'll stay plaster.
Stay plastic.
It's weird because it's so.
Stay plastic.
Yeah.
It's spectacular.
And it's such a like it's so in the speak of the day, you know, like
He's got
1968.
the Brahmin accent. It's great. Like it's almost British accent. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's really interesting. And then, but these, I mean, it's that thing with my team versus that team, and I think the left is guilty of it as much as the right is guilty of it. It seems like it's a real issue where there's a lot of people that have ideas and opinions that sort of cross party lines, but they vote on one side or another and they vote for their team.
I think that's right. I think that, especially in this last election, I think that was true. I think that people felt so alienated by the others. Like, to understand a lot of people who voted Trump, you have to understand that there are a lot of people in the country who felt insulted by the left. They were just sick of being called racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes every time someone wanted to advance a policy on the left. And so they said, okay, screw that. At least Trump's not calling me that.
Right.
So I'll do that. And then there are a bunch of people on the left who now feel insulted by Trump's even presence, and they think all the people who voted for Trump are those people. And so they're fighting racism, sexism, bigotry, and homophobia by voting against Trump. Again, I think we go back to this. There's a hardening of there's not one bubble in the country. There's two.
Yeah, I can't
The
find
right likes to accuse the left of being in a bubble in the coast. There's a bubble on the right too, which is the idea that everybody on every piece of the media is lying to you. Right? The New York Times is always fake news. Everything is fake news. You don't like it, it's fake news. These bubbles are not healthy for the republic. I mean, we can't have conversations with each other if we do this routine.
No, deception is not healthy across the board, and there's another thing that's going on where everybody's a Nazi. Like, I've never heard people called a Nazi more than I have over the last 6 months. I mean, it's been crazy. If you support Trump, you're a Nazi. You're a neo-Nazi. You're somehow or another, you're a fascist. If you didn't vote for Hillary, you're a Nazi. Like, some people have boiled it down to, like, the purest form.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, first of all, it demonstrates tremendous historical ignorance. Forget the Holocaust. Like, you just look at who Hitler was and the policies he promulgated. Like, he was basically, he was all over the place. When he wanted to talk to socialists, he was a socialist. When he wanted to talk to capitalists, he was a capitalist. He was a top-down government guy for sure, but he would speak the language of what would be considered the European far right today. On a lot of issues, but then he would talk about redistribution of resources and universal health care and all this kind of stuff, and then moving guns. But he's just a convenient club. I mean, it's just a convenient club because then this is the part that scares me. Once you say that somebody is Hitler, then it actually becomes obligatory to physically resist them. Then you can't have a conversation with Hitler.
Yeah,
right? Like
right,
once you
right.
say somebody's Hitler, KKK,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Have a conversation with them? At the very least, you won't talk with them, and at the most, you might try to punch them.
That is really a problem with the nomenclature, right? That's really a problem with identifying someone in that way. That they are someone you have to resist. They are someone you cannot be reasoned with. They are someone who's absolutely evil. There's no like variables or variance in their behavior.
And listen, I like fiery political rhetoric. I find it fun, but I think
Right.
once you label somebody, completely evil, you have a responsibility not to debate with them. You have a responsibility not to talk with them. Even the conversation legitimizes them.
Yeah.
I mean, like, listen, I'm sure you're going to get a bunch of shit from people for even having me on, because the idea is going to be, well, how could you have on somebody like Shapiro? You're legitimizing his point of view by having him on. I know a lot of people who I politically disagree with who've had that experience, will have me on their show, and it's like, how dare you have Shapiro on, because you're just granting him cover. Or we can just have a conversation, and maybe we'll disagree, maybe we'll agree.
Yeah, I really don't give a fuck about those people. I think that's a silly conversation. I feel like you should talk to everybody. And if you disagree or agree, I have friends on there. My friend yesterday, Eddie Bravo, he believes in everything's a fucking conspiracy. I disagree with him wildly, and I love him like a brother. I don't think you have to agree with people. I don't think you have to. The idea that you can't just have a conversation with someone about something and see if you can find middle ground or see if you can clearly define their point of view or find their perspective. That's missing today in a weird way. And one of the weirdest things about the election was the ping pong match between the left and the right as played out on national television by the media. I would watch, especially cable news, I would watch Fox News and then go to CNN and go back and forth, flip channels. You know, you have that previous channel button on the DirecTV. I would just put it on both of them and go, what's
like
really happening?
It's two different worlds. My mom said this in 2012 with Romney and Obama. If you read the right-wing media, there was no way Romney was going to lose. And if you read the left-wing media, there was no way Romney was going to win. And she said, which one of these do I believe? And I said, it's probably somewhere in the middle. Like, I have a basic rule, which is that if you have a New York Times report and then you have a report from my side, the Daily Wire, and they share the facts, you can probably assume the facts are true. But the opinions that are, embedded with the facts, those are opinions.
Right.
And that's what's so hard about, I think, the modern media landscape is trying to separate the facts from the opinion. And so this is why when Trump says fake news, he's not wrong that CNN hates him and the New York Times hates him, and that he's right about that. But just labeling it all fake news is inaccurate also, because most of what they're reporting is true. Right? It's just that it's biased. Something can be both true and biased.
Yes.
Right? I'm true and biased. Right? I say things that I think are factual, but I'm obviously conservative. That's my point of view. Tough shit. So
yes. And you're a commentator.
Right.
That's what you do. I mean, half of it is, riling people up, saying provocative things. I mean,
This is where I think the right is correct about CNN and the New York Times and some of the other networks. Like, if you ask the right, what pisses you off more, CNN or the MSNBC? Most people on the right will say CNN, not MSNBC, because MSNBC is honest enough to say we're on the left, and CNN pretends we have no bias. We're above all that. Same thing with the New York Times. We're above all that, and then they run the most egregiously biased headlines. So we go, well, if they're lying about that, they're lying about everything.
One of my most fascinating characters of this whole play was Scott Adams. And particularly because Scott Adams, when I had him on my podcast, he was saying he doesn't really vote.
Yeah.
And it's like, what I am paying attention to, he goes, I am a trained hypnotist, and I'm paying attention to the powers of persuasion, and I'm looking at trends, and I'm making some predictions that turned out to be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at Trump, and he's not talking about Trump in these glowing terms. He's talking about him as being an effective persuader. And he lost millions of dollars because of that opinion. Talking about a guy that he's not even going to vote for. And this is all leading up to the election when people were fucking furious at him.
Yeah.
And even more furious at him after Trump won, because he would do those coffee with Scott things where he does on Periscope, where he wakes up, he starts asking questions, and he's so measured and calm. And he had a podcast recently with Sam Harris where I think he was just like a little too far over the edge of apologizing for some of Trump's behavior, and sort of attributing some of Trump's behavior to that you could say was incompetence and attributed to like some sort of a master plan.
This is my only quarrel with Scott, I think, is that he tends to believe that everything Trump does is 987-degree underwater or upside down hungry hippos. Like, everything is just it's all just acts of genius, and it's three steps down the road. And,
instead of stumbling his way to victory.
I knew everyone involved in the campaign. Like, every single person who was involved in the campaign, I knew. This was a stumble their way to victory. Like, it is amazing. The minds of human beings are. We need to think. It's sort of what the Joker says in The Dark Knight. We need to think there's a plan. We always need to think there's a plan. And so if Trump won, it must be because there was some master plan that he unveiled over the course of the campaign. 3 weeks before the election, he was caught on tape saying that he wanted to grab women by the P word. And no, there was no master plan.
Right.
Okay, it's just that Hillary was an awful candidate and no one liked her. Okay, the idea that Trump was like, even the idea that there was like broad national movement for Trump that wasn't there for other candidates. He won fewer votes in Wisconsin than Mitt Romney did. He won the state. And that's because no one liked Hillary. I mean, this is the untold story of the election. This was not a referendum on Donald Trump. This was a referendum on Hillary Clinton, particularly in the heartland, and people hated her guts. Right? Barack Obama won Ohio walking away. Everyone talks about Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Nobody talks about Ohio. Trump won Ohio walking away. One of the reasons he won Ohio walking away is because in 2012, Barack Obama really drove out the black vote. The percentage of the black vote typically in Ohio, it's like 10% of the general vote. In 2012, it was like 13 to 15% of the general vote, and that was the entire margin of victory for Obama in the state of Ohio. Hillary got, closer to sort of the traditional percentages, and she lost in a whopping blowout in Ohio. No one liked Hillary Clinton, and the left was so arrogant that they thought we can take the most unpopular, unlikable, unqualified, nasty, boring human being anyone has seen for 20 years. We'll run her. She's the one who will run. But do you understand how incompetent you have to be? How incompetent you have to be to lose to a celebrity game show host? Like you have to suck at this in a royal manner.
Well, I don't know now. Now that I think the floodgates are open. But don't you think
So they're a big rock man.
Yeah, Kid Rock is gonna win. Apparently, he's like way ahead.
Well, so he's gonna win the primary. If he didn't win the primary, then he would have to run as an independent. Then he'd be indie rock, right?
Kid Rock is gonna win the primary. Oh.
Well, we can only
That's
hope that
wonderful.
once he's in the office, he grows into it and he becomes adult rock.
How's Ted Nugent not run for office yet? That's what I want to know. How's I
Nugent
saw him
rock.
giving a conversation about running for president. And that if the people really wanted it, he would do it. I was like, oh, good Jesus. Oh.
I just can't wait for the Rock Oprah.
The Rock might win.
The Rock might win. Hey, if Oprah ran in 2020,
Yeah. The Rock with Oprah. It's a fucking
Dual ticket?
slam dunk.
Oh man.
Yeah. The Rock and Oprah together.
So I have this weird idea that we should actually reinstitute a monarchy, and it should just be ceremonial, and they can be a celebrity. Just make a celebrity monarch,
Okay.
and that person will just be there to look pretty and be
Sort of
popular.
like Queen of England.
Exactly.
But don't really have anything to
No
affect our
power.
policy.
No power, because we keep conflating the presidency with who actually has to do things.
Right.
But people who we want to represent the country.
Yeah, we have a popularity contest. See who gets to control the nukes, which is insane.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. And I think that this is. We all think in cinematic terms now, and Hollywood is run by the dopiest jackasses. I grew up with all these people.
Right.
These are not people who you want controlling the narrative. And then we're like, you know what? Let's take if Tom Hanks would what makes you think Tom Hanks would be a good president? Did you look at Trump and go, God, he's doing such a brilliant job. What we really need now is the guy from Castaway.
We need is an actor again. We did well with Reagan. We need another actor. We did great with Schwarzenegger as the governor.
At least Reagan was governor for 20 years before he was the president of the United States. I mean, let's put him through the ringer. I mean, Schwarzenegger proved in 8 years that he was not capable of doing anything except kind of sucking.
Well, you ever heard him talk about it? The way, from his perspective, he's like, you don't really understand how much red tape and bullshit you have to go through. He goes, I would meet with people and they would agree with me that it's a good idea. However, they would say, my voters are never going to agree with it, so I'm going to oppose it. So even though I know you're right, there's a bunch of farmers that are going to be mad at me for doing that, so I'm not going to do that.
Well, this is the other thing in politics that really drives me nuts. There are two promises that politicians make that are complete bullshit. The first promise they make is, I'm going to go to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to get things done. No, you're not. Okay, the system is built for gridlock. It's built for gridlock. It's why we have two separate houses of Congress. It's why we have a president who can veto. It's why we have a Supreme Court that rules on cases. It's built for gridlock. It's why we have states that are supposed to be able to check the federal government. All this in the Federalist Papers. It was built for gridlock.
And some people are happy with that because that's how Trump is being sidelined at every time he tries to make something really important.
I think we all should be happy with that because the only way things were supposed to get passed was wide public support. Right, which is probably a good thing. We don't want the government shifting wildly and veering on its axis every 4 years or every 2 years. I like the gridlock. My big problem is that the gridlock now protects a huge system that I don't like, that's been built up over 100 years in the case of growing government. But I like the gridlock, but that's one promise that's made, and then people are disappointed. Oh, we get in there, we're going to repeal Obamacare. It's like, no, you're not. You're not. I mean, you can promise it, but now you're not going to do it because you were full of crap when you said it, and now you're not going to do it. And the gridlock is there, and it's hard to change things. You know, it takes a tremendous effort of will and uphill power to actually change things in a big way. This idea will let Trump say, it's not going to be so easy. No, it's not.
Hong Kong, Taiwan is China. Everybody go to school. Everybody go to your pussy.
China number
Fuck, I like the
two.
pussy. China number 2, US number 1.
US number 2.
Donald Trump, fuck you up.
Nigeria number 1, nigger.
Make it great. Make it great.
Make Nigeria great again.
Wow.
Yeah, only make great people.
Do you like nighters?
You have to determine whether they're right to be angry. Is your anger correct? Politicians are in the business.
Let's go in there. Going to get some gin. Gonna drink my blood. Gonna shoot some motherfucker. Let's get it in.
I'm angry about things, but are they angry about the right things? And Trump would say, you're right to be angry because you've lost your job in Ohio because it's being stolen by the Chinese or by the Mexicans or something. And it's like, well, is that factually true, or are you just pandering to the anger? And on the left, you hear people say this to black folks in the inner city. It's the system that's keeping you down. It's a racist, white supremacist system that's keeping you down. And well, is that true, or are you just pandering to the voter? Because it's hard to tell people hard truths like you're not right to be angry, get off your ass and do something with your life. And it's true for regardless of race. You know, go out there. No one cares enough to stop you in your life. Your life is your own. No one in the United States cares about you, wants to stop you, wants to throw obstacles up in your own way. I'm not sure you can win an election on the basis of go live your own life. Even though everyone keeps claiming they want to live their own life, I think most people are full of it. I think most people don't want to live their own life. They want a politician to tell them that all of their complaints about life being unfair are justified, and the politician's going to solve all that. We don't want people who stay out of our way. We want people to be mommy. And you know, that's a tempting proposition for
Well,
politicians.
there's certainly a lot of that when you're talking to adults. It's because you're dealing with people that have the momentum of all their failures in life and all the different things that are not going right. And then here they are at this moment today, right now, and they want to figure out why and why they're not on track and how to get on track. And the easiest way is to point the finger or blame someone else. And people's hands are fair. You know,
Damn
one
it.
person doesn't have it easy. A lot of people have it easy.
I haven't used a lot of people, for sure, absolutely.
But the reality is, there's a tremendous amount of psychological factors that go into why someone does or does not succeed, and to placate them, to play on those psychological factors as not being their own fault. It's very tempting because it works with people. People love to hear that. They love to hear that it's not your fault.
Yep, and I think that's what politicians have become in the business of doing, and it's both right and left. It's these people saying that it's not your fault because you're being screwed by some foreign country. It's not your fault because the immigrants are doing it to you.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. Well, maybe some of that's true, but you have to show me why it's true. And you have to show me what the actual Did you lose your job because of China, or did you lose your job because you're in an industry that is being crowded out because of technological change, because your union struck and created wages too high to be globally competitive? What?
Off my plane, bitch.
Oh shit. Okay, wait.
First of all, Canada is right here. Yeah. But it's such a hard country to get into. It's
fair enough. It's crazy. Yeah, they don't want any douchebags. They have a zero douchebag policy.
But listen, I saw the ex-mayor of Montreal, right, and walking down Sunset, one of the conversations, the one that was a Democrat, right?
Toronto, you saw that guy?
Yeah, so that guy one day walking by Congress State, and everybody took pictures with him. He was a mayor, he didn't run. He was a takeover, right? So how the fuck did he get here? Look, Canada won't even take a drunk driving test.
That's true. Well, I think crack, you probably better drive around crack. You do some more expeditious, get things done.
Yeah, that's like if you commit a crime, you can't get to Canada. If you have a DUI, like Patrice had a DUI on, not, yeah, well, not Patrice, but I know people have DUIs that can't get into Canada. Like they have super cop, like
You
that's
can't
super
work
cop.
there.
You can't work there. You can't get in there.
Diaz can't get up there.
Say again.
Joe Diaz.
You can't get up
He
there.
can't get up there.
Right, but
But he's got like some real shit.
right, he's got some real shit.
Armed kidnapping.
But that's why I say DUI, because even though DUIs are serious, the ones where you get convicted, but you do your probation period, and you get your license back.
Yeah.
You even when you get your license back, you can't get into Canada. But somebody who was the mayor and sold crack, and I know other Canadians that probably committed crimes, can be in here.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is it so tough for me to get to Canada? When I got to the airport, they I've been to Canada before, so when I got to the airport, they had me to try to fill out some immigration form, and it's 3 hours. I was like 2.5 hours early, thank God. Then they want me to fill out this form on my phone, online. It's like 40 something questions.
Online.
Online.
It's the new way to do it.
It's a new way to do it. Well, again, I got a British passport, so everybody that was just had a straight American passport went in.
How does that work? You have like a Jamaica passport? Is that what it is?
No, I got a British one because I'm
from England.
From England, yeah.
And so now, when you're in America from England, like how does it work? They give you like
I have a green card.
So you're not a full American citizen?
No, I'm like a
So I
permanent
can't
resident.
talk about certain shit with you
Why not?
because then it's like treasonous. I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful. You're from another land.
No,
You're
here,
from another nation.
Robert, I'm here.
Isn't that odd? I mean, that's really odd. Like here's a perfect example. Perfect example. I didn't know that you were born in England. If you told me, I forgot.
Right. You probably forgot.
I probably
And
forgot.
people forget. We forget facts about each other.
Well, especially that kind of fact, because it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything. But like automatically, like in the grand scheme of things, I'm supposed to look at you like, oh, you're on the other team.
What
Over here, you could be one of those embedded people. I just read about these Russians, man. These Russians in New Jersey. Did you hear about this?
I'm not
They
Russian
were-
anymore.
Dude, I'm not trusting English people either anymore. The Russians were in, I want to say Montclair, like a nice area of New Jersey. And they were a regular family. This is the Russian family. They weren't really this regular family. They were actually embedded Soviet spies.
Well, that sounds like the Americans.
Look at that shit. Russian spies, New Jersey home, heading for sale. Damn, don't buy that house. What the fuck? You want someone to watch you fuck?
Might find money and shit.
There's gonna be cameras that watch the shit come out of your asshole. There's probably cameras everywhere.
To watch this shit.
I mean, come on, man. You can't get a Russian house from some Russian spies. You gotta be like a crazy person.
We might find some hidden spaces with money and shit.
Yeah, maybe you feel like a total voyeur. What has he said? He said that he doesn't expect the Russian spy connection to help or hurt the sale. Bitch, you're out of your fucking mind. I mean, that's not the worst thing that can happen to a house. It's just a bunch of, spies. Hopefully nobody's murdered in the house. But when someone's murdered in the house, good luck selling that house.
You get the price down.
You're better off just burning to the ground, smashing that thing, and then rebuilding a new house. And even then, people don't want to live there because that's where the old house where the dude got killed used to be.
Let me ask you, how old is your house? Is it brand new? You first person to do?
No, I think it was maybe 7. I've seen ghosts. I think they have to inform you.
But there's a moratorium.
What's that?
Website you can look it up. I just heard about it. I'm not sure. It doesn't ask you. You knew about it.
A website where you find out somebody died in your house?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay.
When it was.
Yeah, like, do you remember that this one always got to me, man? That, those brothers that shot their parents, the Menendez brothers. And one of them had a wig on. Remember, he had like this glorious fake head of hair. They made him take it off when he went to jail. It was a really crazy story because they shotgunned their own parents.
Right.
Whoa, man, how the fuck does that happen?
You know,
The one on the left has a total wig. I mean, you look at it now, you go, oh, I get it. No, the one on the right was just blessed. Just straight up blessed with some curly locks. What the fuck, man? Those sons shotgunned their fucking parents, man.
You know, Kirk Fox used to teach them tennis.
That's right. That's right. I do somehow vaguely remember that.
So he has a whole story about teaching them tennis.
Dude, that scares the shit out of me that people do that. It doesn't scare the shit out of me nearly as much as people get so angry at someone that they can shoot them. But it scares the shit out of me that someone could do that to their dad. Or their mom, too, right? Didn't they shoot the mom, too? Jesus,
They
shot
were adopted, right?
Were they?
Yeah. I think the Menendez brothers were adopted.
Oh. Really?
Yeah. And I think they're just trying to get money.
Oh, what? That sexual and psychological abuse they had suffered at the hands of their parents? Oh, well, there you go. I know, it's like you always want to immediately blame it on the kids, right? Because they killed their parents, but the parents could have been fucking monsters.
Yeah, you never know.
Oh, well, they have to be monsters. I mean, if you think about it, how do you make a kid that is capable of shooting you in your sleep? You gotta raise that kid horribly. Unless you just, by dumb luck, have two complete genetic psychopaths from birth that you could have done nothing to fix. You've got two guys that are willing to shoot you while you're sleeping, and you raised them from the time they were babies. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, I was gonna say their house.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to their house.
Burnt that fucking thing to the ground, probably.
I wonder what happened
Smashed
to
it.
like Nicole Simpson's house.
Oh.
Did somebody live there?
Wasn't Nicole Simpson's, was that a house or was that outside an apartment?
It's like a condo. Yeah.
God damn. Yeah, that's a weird one because that's like it's a public building. You gotta just deal with it. People just deal with it.
Is that apartment like still empty?
Hers? He killed them on the street.
Right.
He killed them outside.
But every time you go home, you have to step over a crime scene to walk into your house. And you've seen the pictures. You know the history. Every time an OJ documentary comes out, or every time they have an OJ series on TV, or when his parole hearing comes up, you're like, we walking over the doorway into that house. So I wonder, like I want to talk to the person who's like doesn't give a fuck and lives in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, it doesn't bother
like
me
a
at
deal's
all.
a deal, baby.
This house is bad.
Springwood.
Yeah. Listen, she should have been nicer to all.
Damn.
Did you ever see the autopsy photos?
Did I?
Don't.
No.
If you haven't, don't. It's not worth it. You get it.
I saw the murder scene photos.
It's just so hard to believe. It's
Yeah, it's pretty
they
crazy.
cared about it. They had babies with it.
Right.
It's just people get crazy.
It's Game of Thrones out here.
But just rarely. That's what it is. It's like every week it's the Game of Thrones. It's normal on the Game of Thrones, which I just started watching.
You did?
Yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Man. I started watching this new season. I was like, I forgot everything.
I've started watching it like a few months ago. I started watching it over from the beginning.
Oh.
Like that's what you do. Watch it
Yeah.
from season one. And you see how much stuff you didn't know or didn't understand,
Right.
or didn't realize it. Because Game of Thrones, they don't give a fuck. Like they'll introduce a new character and have him talking to a regular character like they've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
And you're like, did I miss something?
Exactly.
But then if you go back, no, that guy is new. I'm not supposed to know him. Yeah, it's like homework. You have to do research to understand that show.
Well, these kind of shows have kind of stopped my interest in movies.
Yeah.
Like, movies are okay,
Mhm.
but a movie's 90 minutes. That's
Right.
it. Or 2 hours. It's over. When it's over, I'm done.
Right.
But these goddamn things get you invested.
Yeah. Like, I'm not like
What is this?
a nerd.
HBO hacked upcoming episodes, Game of Thrones data leaked online.
Your photos look like
Oh, so the results, like the scripts, like what I mean by data?
I don't know, like shows.
Oh no, the actual.
Yeah, it happened.
Oh
There's a
no.
big hack recently. Some other shows got taken too.
They should just edit offline.
Oh my goodness, monsters. You monsters, how dare you? Yeah, some whiz kid, right? Probably from China, something like that. So yeah, we can't compete anymore. Russia's kicking everybody out of Russia. You hear about that shit?
They are?
All the people that are working at the embassy? 75 American delegates, or whatever they would be called.
I'm sure they're happy to go home.
Yeah.
Who wants to stay in Russia?
Yeah. Unless they got something going on. They want some crazy big Russian life over there. Just like the people of Montclair. 755 diplomats. What does that mean? Are we going to war with Russia?
Nah.
Come on, man. They've got Montclair, right? They got a house. People just living there.
What happened to those people in that house? Did they kick them out, put them in jail?
I think they put them in jail. Go back to the story.
Like, how'd they find out they were spies?
That's a good question, man. It's a real good
They
question.
just went to the house sale? Like, oh, give me some explanation. Here we go.
It says their story partially inspired the FX drama The Americans, about
Oh.
2 undercover Russian spies living in the U.S. with 2 young children.
That's a fucking amazing show.
Is it really?
The Americans is so fucking amazing.
Really?
Yeah, man.
What's it on?
It's
FX.
on
It's right in front of me. Vladimir and Lydia. How do you say that name? Guryev.
Yeah.
Vladimir and Lydia Guryev lived in the home in Montclair under the names of Richard and Cynthia Murphy. Hi, we're Richard and Cynthia Murphy. Hi. I wonder what they talked like before they arrested in 2010, along with 8 other spies accused of leading double lives, complete with false passports, secret code words, fake names, invisible ink, encrypted radio.
Invisible ink.
Dude, what kind of weird ass life is that? It's weird to think that there's someone that could be a spy in your neighborhood, and that he thinks that you're the enemy because you're born over here and he was born over there. You know, just like what we were talking about with you having a passport from England.
I know, but what's in Jersey that they're living in Jersey and doing this shit? Like, who are they close to?
Well, Jersey's close to New York,
Right.
first of all. And there's a lot of very wealthy people that live in Montclair.
Right.
I believe Montclair is a very nice area. Google that.
Should be.
My uncle used to have a pottery studio
A pottery studio.
in Montclair.
That is some rich white shit.
Well, it was more like hippie artist stuff. He's an art teacher. He used to teach art in school. I don't think it was. I think in high school. What's that? Montclair, New Jersey. What's that word they use? Medium income. Yeah. Look up that. I think it's a baller place. I think it's like Beverly Hills. It's like the Beverly Hills of New Jersey. Maybe I'm exaggerating. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
For the average, that probably means
That means people
rich.
rich per household.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of rich people.
Because just one poor rich person that brought that price down.
It's amazing. Why do you think they do it? Okay, let's take a guess. Do you think they sneak in, they become spies, they get tight with rich people, and then, you know, like, look, I know a family that had Ted fucking Cruz over their house for some event they were holding.
Oh,
This
wow.
was like a year or so before the election, maybe 2 years before the election. Like, these people were so baller, they had Ted Cruz give like one of those stupid stump speeches in their house.
For money.
Israel.
To raise money.
To raise
Yeah.
money. They're like big pro-Israel supporters. They have
Right.
Ted Cruz in their house talking about Israel. Very trippy shit. Like very trippy shit. Like you're literally hanging out in your house with a guy that might be running the nukes.
Right.
Yeah. Like so, if you're a Russian spy
Mhm.
and you get tight with that dude, you can hang with that dude. Hey Frank, is Ted Cruz really coming over? I'll tell you what. It makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of his policies that I really agree
Then
with.
you just call up the Russian embassy, send me some money so I can donate to Ted
Yeah.
Cruz and get close to Ted Cruz.
You just bring a truckload of Vietnamese hookers, just back it up. Beep, beep, beep. Get Ted all fucked up on that same method Rob Ford had.
It's hilarious.
Right? Get the party rolling. Start filming.
Start
filming,
filming.
Ted. You need to know.
Start having blackmail info on Ted Cruz.
You know, God. Everybody keeps getting fired from the White House. Does anybody understand what the fuck is going on over there?
Yeah, was anybody fired today yet?
There's a meme that Scaramucci guy, I don't say his name. There's a meme of him where he's going like that, like with his mouth up, like and it said, if you get this job, where do you see yourself in 10 days?
Hilarious. That's funny.
It's like
how do you hire a guy who clearly looks like he's done coke? Like,
does he? He looks like a Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, he looks like a Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Like this is the guy.
Yeah.
Just on looks alone, like this cocky, he's a hedge fund job. You know.
He follows everybody online. He probably follows you.
Hilarious.
Follows me.
He does.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think he follows everybody. He
Would
follows
you
like
ever-
150,000.
Would you ever have him on the show?
Of course.
Yeah, it's a great guess.
I would love to talk to one of those dudes. Find out what it's like in there, especially a guy who's in there for like 10 days.
This guy will talk.
Well, I have had a hedge fund guy. I know that Peter Schiff guy on before, the financial wizard. He's coming on again. He's an interesting cat. He's a big time Wall Street guy. He's got some gigantic firm employees who knows how many fucking people. But he's also always on television breaking down what's wrong with like financial bubbles,
Right.
the real estate bubble. He called all that shit, the subprime mortgage bubble. He called all that shit years ago.
I'm
He's like,
calling
this is all fall apart.
the Netflix bubble right now.
Ooh, how dare you?
I'm calling it
You're not
can't
the only one.
sustain itself.
You're not the only one, by the way.
Not all right, cool.
You know, there was an article that was out just yesterday about debt. There was something about Netflix being in debt.
Something like I think it was said it was
Well,
some of
let's just Google
the Times did an investigation and it was like they found out they're $20 billion in debt.
How's that possible?
Because they're spending so much money on these shows, man, and promoting them. And it's like, listen, they just celebrated a few months ago their 100th million customer, like whatever they called it.
100 million?
Yeah.
So that
And, like if
means they
Facebook had that, Facebook would be laughing. Because Facebook's got how many subscribers?
Right, but there's a big difference. Facebook doesn't get $9 a month.
Right, but
Each one of those 100 million people are giving $9 a month. That's $900 million a month.
good at math.
That's
but I think
almost $1 billion a month. That's $12 billion a year. Or
Right.
maybe $10 billion a year.
You know
It's
what?
an insane amount of money.
You know what it is?
What?
This is what it is. Human man. Man is so valuable that I know even when something can work, like they make systems that work,
Right.
but the problem with those systems is that humans run those systems.
Right.
And they are so valuable that they fuck shit up.
Is that the right way to say that word? Valuable?
Probably not.
Sounds perfect though.
But yeah,
I know
it sounds
exactly
good.
what you're
Don't
saying.
look it up, people.
Fallible? I always thought it was fallible.
It must my British Jamaican accent makes things sound different.
There's always those words that you never say, but you see written, and you know the word. You're like, how am I saying this? Like, I know what this is, but I don't say it. You can't come up with a good example.
That is one. You know what? It's funny. I don't remember ever saying that word.
So Reuters,
Sometimes
Reuters is one. Like I never say Reuters, like the Reuters news source. But when I look at it, I go, okay, I know what that is. I've read it 1,000 times. But how do I say that? Reuters.
Reuters sounds right.
It is the right way to say it. That's what everybody says it. But when left to my own devices, especially, I'll just look. How the fuck do I pronounce this? Yeah, I have way too much totally useless information going on inside my head. I gotta do some spring cleaning. I gotta throw away some childhood memories. I gotta throw away some childhood memories that are not serving me. Just taking up space in my head. You run out of hard drive space, man.
Yeah, you do.
Every day you look at some new story. Every day there's a new thing going on. You know, and especially trying to follow Game of Thrones, and maybe House of Cards too,
Right.
and maybe Stranger Things.
I remember when I used to remember everything. Like, I could remember every movie, every part of every movie, every part of my childhood. And then now somebody said, remember that time we did this? And I'm like, you were there? Like, I remember the time, but I don't remember that you were there. But I guess you were.
Yeah.
Like, now it's my memory's full. I need to go to the Mac store and have some shit added.
Yeah, but if you were like an old farmer, you'd remember all that shit. It was just every day getting up, milking the cows, picking the eggs, killing up sheep or something for dinner,
Right.
you would have those memories.
Right.
Because you're in that same spot every day thinking about your childhood.
Yeah, you're away from all the distractions.
Yeah.
And shit
No
that will
books.
come in your head. Yeah.
Yeah, no books.
No books.
No. Bro, you gotta eat
They,
cheese.
they,
Go to
probably,
sleep.
they probably just read one book like over and over. The
The
Bible's
Bible's all you need. It's an amazing story, man. Yeah.
It is written in historical form.
Well, that's what it was.
Yeah.
The Bible is, a fascinating book in that it's you start off with someone telling stories for like 1,000 years before you write it down, and then you got a bunch of really old versions of the story. No one's sure which ones to use.
Right.
Like they have the version that's in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's the oldest versions of some of those stories. And it's one of the only. Scrolls in the mid-Atlantic. So they take these scrolls out. It's so crazy. It's like, I think it took them like 14 to 15 years just to piece it together.
Damn.
Dude, they're all broken up and shit. They couldn't figure out what goes with what. So they had to take DNA tests on the actual pieces of animal skin so they could tell, okay, well, this is some skin from this animal. So let's concentrate on this. All these pieces have been genetically tested to be from this animal. So let's put these together because they're probably the same scroll. And you have to figure out how to take these crumbs and chunks that are just thousands of years old.
And I'm supposed to trust this?
Well, not only that, it's also you're reading it in ancient language.
Right.
You're reading it in also like the references and the way people thought back then. Yeah. Then they have like the oldest version of the Hebrew Bible is like the very oldest versions were written in ancient Hebrew. Ancient Hebrew is crazy because it has numbers as well as letters. So like if you have the letter A, it's also the number 1. It's all the same. It's all linked in. So like when you have a word, like words have like a numerical value. And if I'm butchering this, if it wasn't ancient Hebrew, it represented. But Ari and I discussed this for a couple times because Ari, went to what is it called? Like that thing that they send him off to, a religious camp. Ari was like a serious Orthodox Jew.
Oh, so that's why he's such a serious atheist.
Oh, he's such a freak now. Yeah. But that's exactly why. But so like their words had numerical value. So like if the word God and the word love, they're the same numerical value.
Right.
So like with the letter L, the letter O, they all have like numbers. Like we can't even think like that because none of our words have numerical value.
Right.
But like the actual meaning of a word has more value with more numbers to it. It's really interesting. All that stuff's lost on our stupid, goofy languages. When they translated it to Latin, and translated it to Greek or English, it's all kind of lost.
And then who was translating this shit? And everything is based off, like, what your goal is, or what your perception of the world is, or where you're from, and how you were raised, and what you want this thing to mean to people.
Right.
So, like you can't get away from that. So if you're the person putting this stuff together and translating it, it's like, how do you not let your influence this thing?
You do, right? You tweak it a little.
You tweak it, yeah. You want it to mean the things that it means to you. Even if you just want people to believe this is an ancient scroll that you found.
Yeah.
And this goes back to you finding it, and it goes to your name and to your legacy.
Yeah. Well, there's also massive amounts of evidence of people looking at something and then having a distorted perception of what that something means, and having that bend in their favor.
Right, exactly.
There's like so many points of evidence.
I do that with all my relationships. And all of it is my freedom.
I mean, how many people think that they're the victim? How many people are just running around thinking the world's against them?
Total victim of violations.
Yeah.
So that's just evidence and our behavior, how we should behave with each other, treat each other. If you let your own personal ego and bias, which it absolutely did. There's shit written in the Bible that treats women as second-class citizens. It condones slavery. There's no like talking about slavery as if it's some horrible thing that has to be like banished.
Right.
There's in the ancient Hebrew Bible they condone slavery. There's really nothing bad about having slaves. It's like God doesn't come to kill you, but God will kill you if you wear 2 different types of cloth.
I know. Like they'll burn witches. Like, you know what? You're a witch. Why? Because I said you're a witch. But you know what's not evil? Slaves.
Yeah, the
Capture
Inquisition.
people. The Inquisition.
During the Inquisition, they weren't torturing people because they had slaves.
Right. Because they thought they were witches.
They were torturing people because they just didn't believe enough.
But they didn't believe
right away.
Yeah.
Or they caught you doing something.
Or if you wanted to get rid of somebody, that say somebody had a job that you wanted, a position that you wanted, if you could prove that person like slandered God or blasphemed or anything, then you're out.
That's the standard maneuver, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You get the government to get rid of this person for you.
That's how you get shit like North Korea, and that's how you get shit like ISIS. You know, you just everybody turning on everybody trying to figure out a way that they can use their power.
But that's what's kind of happening in America.
Damn it! I got greedy.
I think it was in New Yorker just like 2 days ago.
I got greedy.
Senator wrote it.
I just read an article last night. He's a Republican senator, and he said
I couldn't tell if that was. I didn't get the kill. Somebody else must have got it. Must have shot him.
Republicans made a concerted effort to just push the Republican agenda and make Obama a one-term president. And now that Trump has hijacked their party, they're kind of turning a blind eye to things that they wouldn't have if Obama was president, just because Trump is the Republican candidate. And he's like, where are our loyalties? To our party or to this country? Because we're kind of like fucking up the country, you know. And it's kind of like when Obama was president, you know, no matter what you think of him, like if he was a good president, right? Say he's a good president, because he's not your person, you're gonna shut down the things that he's doing to get your party in power. Like, you don't give a fuck, right? Because all you care about is your party winning. Like, and now that Trump is president, the Democrats are taking the same thing from the same book. And I'm not even saying Trump is a good president, but I'm just saying everybody's turning on everybody.
Yeah, they're all trying to figure out a way to win so they get their agenda forward.
And that's not the country's agenda.
No.
At all. So we're destroying each other.
Well, there's definitely like a battle between the two sides right now. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that are getting excited by it. They have not just a vested interest in it, but it becomes like part of their identity, part of the resistance for fighting against this empire.
But at the detriment of, like, say,
but maybe not. I mean, it really depends, because like, when you put a tremendous amount of pressure on someone like they put on Trump, whether you agree with it or not, it forces that person to realize that there's people like that out there, and you adjust accordingly. It moves the tide a couple of degrees one way or the other. It just does. Like the idea that we're not culturally malleable, that our cultures shift back and forth, it certainly does. Things that used to be totally acceptable are now completely taboo. And that's just over the course of like the last decade or so. So I think that even the far left, it's all necessary. It just doesn't seem necessary because we're caught up in it. We can see if we just meet in the middle somewhere, it can all be. But if you just look at this thing objectively, like not like a human being,
right?
Look at it like a mathematic problem, right? Like if you can see human culture, you would say, oh well, there's this complete constant shift of energy that goes left and right, like some crazy ping pong. Occasionally goes right and right again. Right. Very rarely, like Reagan and then Bush Senior, it bounces itself out, goes left again. It's this weird battle, and along the way, if you look at it, like if you really step away from it, along the way, there are incremental changes that are moving in a good direction. It's just hard to see them because there's a lot of bad shit happening.
Yeah, I get that. And then we only hear about the stuff, the bad stuff. Because like each side is just trying to get points
Right.
from the other side. I'm just saying it's just that when one party, no matter what party is trying to do something good, even if it's something good, then the people from the other party are going to be against it because they don't want that party to score that good point. So then they knock that off the table, and that thing that could help people is never going to help people.
I think it's also part of having two teams. I think if there was way more teams, if there was like 20 or 30 different parties, we'd be way better off.
Think we'd be better off?
Yeah, politicians are spread across 20 or 30 different parties instead of jammed into one or the other, or the freaks that are independent or Green Party. Let's get the fuck out of here with the Green Party conspiracy, right? No one's gonna elect a Green Party president. All the bankers are gonna put a stop to that. This guy's just gonna steal money from us. Fuck this. He's gonna give it to penguins and shit. You know, I mean, that's
Going to give our money to penguins.
yeah. So you got really three choices. You got independent, which is so rare. The only other person I can think ever winning as an independent right now, honestly, would be someone like Trump, or like Elon Musk,
He's
or like
basically-
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Trump is basically an independent who hijacked the
Yeah.
Republican Party.
Well, he voted Democrat like his whole life. He was pro-choice like his whole life. You know, it's like he's been on the side of Democratic issues forever.
Right. I mean, I saw the video where he said, I saw the video, right? The day before, I saw it twice. The last time I saw it was the day before the election where he said, if I was going to run, I would run as a Republican because Republicans are stupid and blah, blah, blah. I saw that video, like him being interviewed. And I tell you, the next day, that shit was struck on the internet. And then if I tell people I saw that video, they say, nah, you're crazy. It was just like,
So he really had it taken down.
yeah, man. Dude.
Like some L. Ron Hubbard type shit.
Yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard was quoted as saying, if you really want to make money, you should start a religion. Start Scientology.
Wasn't bullshit.
Tell the truth.
They got so much real
Should have
estate.
saw it coming. Should have saw it coming. Yeah, he's a fascinating character, man. I mean, obviously there's a tremendous amount of issues with him not telling the truth. That might be the biggest problem.
Right.
The number one biggest problem might be the line. That we can't trust him. That is so crazy that you're president that just lies all the time. But if you step away from the lying part and you look at like what he's doing, what's interesting is I don't know too much about the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, but I do know that a whole lot of people who voted against it are now voting against repealing it.
Right.
So it either means one of two things. Either it means Trump's plan is so bad that the people who hated Obamacare are like, this is even worse.
Right.
Or it's a bunch of people that just don't like Trump. And even though they didn't want Obamacare in the first place, no matter what Trump comes up with, they're going to be like, fuck you.
Right.
They're going to fight against that, which
Let's rumble. Let's go. Let's do this motherfucker go.
those two, to me, that's child shit.
Yeah, he was trying to say. I just feel like everybody's just going after everybody. It's when you're time going after what are you doing?
Hallo, was?
If you know me once, you know me twice. You can stick it in my eyes with all the nothing to say. What you for me? Last night, couldn't get my answer.
People are so angry again, and everybody being angry. It's not what I'm saying. The whole thing is so surreal. It's like everybody wanted change, and then when change came, like, no, this change is making money.
Right.
No, we don't want that. This guy's stealing money. Like, he's got to make billions of dollars. What the fuck is he doing? Where's his tax returns? Show me the tax returns. But I think what's going to come out of it is that there's just people now that are politically motivated.
Shit.
there's so many people that are looking at this whole thing going, whoa, 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 you can't just sit back and just let this happen. Then you get someone who doesn't tell the truth as the president. And that, you know how bad that fucks up kids?
Right.
When you're looking at like the highest level of human being in the country, like if every kid says,
That works.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
That's the issue.
Yeah. President, you know what you want to be. President,
It's so possible.
Yeah, but it's also like if the guy who's the guy at the top of the list isn't better than the people that you love. Like he's more he's petty. He's petty. You see groups of people that just don't like it. Like all this shit, plastic surgery. Right. A guy with fake hair is talking about people bleeding from plastic surgery. Oh, but it's just like the whole hurt your feelings thing, the lash out, hurt your feelings thing. Like that's what he's trying to do, trying to hurt their feelings. Like, someone just needs to like sit him down. Just
I think they tried. He ain't listening. He's doing this his way.
I know he is.
Because he won.
But
He won that way, so he's like, that's how I won. My base likes that.
gotta let that
So I'm just
go.
keep doing
It in. Gotta let that go because you have a broader responsibility as the head guy.
I think he's getting feedback that enough that he has the amazing ability to ignore things that I wouldn't ignore, and that I think most people would ignore, like blowback, like I remember. So this is what happened. One time I went to see a movie, a screening with Kevin Hart was in it with Usher. It's a long time ago, and me and Kev were friends. We used to hang out. So we went to the screening, and we sat there, and we watched the movie, and the movie was terrible. So then after the movie, I'm going to see Kev. So mine was like, what the fuck am I going to tell this guy? Because I can't lie to him about this movie. And before I said anything, he looked at me and said, man, that movie was great. And you know what? He was right. He was so he brushed off like how bad and found something. This motherfucker can find something like he'll hear what he needs to hear from whatever he's doing. There's probably enough people, even one or a few million that likes his tweets. Like we only see people that hate his tweets. Right.
Oh, there's a lot of people that like a Swedes. They don't have American flags in their avatars.
Yeah, so he's gonna go for that.
They have like eagles, Dobermans, American flags, and guns. The recent speech, right? I thought was really interesting. No. That was a good one too. But I think it was today where he was talking about unemployment being down, how the economy is up, and all these different factors. And they were talking about how no one mentions it. And then I went to CNN. And I was like, yeah, they're not even mentioning that. Like, he's giving this speech and he's saying all the, like, how much should that be the number one story? Like, what's the number one story with CNN? What are the front page of CNN? What do we got here? What does it say? Highest stock market ever, best economic growth in years, unemployment lowest in 17 years, wages rising, borders secure.
Yeah, but
Is that true?
Well,
I don't know if it's true.
But I don't know if it's true. It's probably true, right? But these were the same things that were happening when Obama was president, and he used to shit on it. He used to say it's not rising enough. The unemployment level should still be lower, or like when they put out the job gains or whatever they call that shit technically, he would say that's not enough growth. So there's a way to shit on everything.
But look at all this. Like, look at what they show on CNN. Like, right away, you see on the top, Trump weighed in on Son's misleading claim. Breaking news. So you got a negative Trump ad. No inaccuracy in Donald Trump's junior statements about 2016 meeting with Russians, White House says. White House comments on Donald Trump Jr. statements. Timeline of so none of that has anything to do with unemployment being down or the economy being up. And this is like the front page of CNN. It's all negative.
Yeah, they're going after it for sure.
But this is not good. It's not good to do that. Like, you're not giving all the news. You gotta give the news. Like, he does plenty of stupid shit that you can cover.
Right.
You're not as short of stupid shit, but when good shit happens, like when the economy is up, when unemployment is down, you probably should be reporting that. That seems like that's news.
But all right, so
If it's true.
So if it's true, right?
Okay.
You know you have a powerful Twitter. Your name is Trump.
Right.
And you know the game by now, right? So you know if you tweet about some woman's plastic surgery, they're gonna go in on it.
Yeah.
And that's what's gonna be on CNN.
But that's not CNN.
Oh.
She was MSNBC.
Right, but it's gonna be on every news. All the media outlets that are not in favor of you are gonna put that.
Right.
So
everyone except Fox.
Everyone except Fox. So it's like, stop putting shit that people can use to cover up and use instead of the unemployment stuff being down. You know what I mean? Like, stop giving people ammo against you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Stop giving them information, negative stuff that they can put on the front of their website instead of unemployment numbers going down.
Yeah, but there's no way they're going to stop that. As long as there's stories like that, like Donald Jr. secretly meeting with the Russians and not telling people, and then releasing the emails, and then saying it, all that stuff, and then it turns out that Trump was the one who coordinated a statement about it. All that stuff, he's never going to stop.
That's not going to stop. He's fucking up.
Yeah.
He's fucking up.
But here's the thing. You gotta write the good stuff too.
Yeah.
You have to have right news.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if I'm gonna trust you for the news, I would like to think as a person who leans very left, I would like to think that CNN is going to be better than right-wing propaganda websites. Well, how can they not be? That's very disappointing.
It's very
You can have both things.
I don't trust none of them. I don't trust the left news or the right. Because you know why? Because when almost you know what I mean? Like, they just did here's a funny thing. So they just did a study of, like, body cams on cops, right? They just did a study. And they said from the study, they see that cops treat black people that they pull over worse than they treat white people. It's like, motherfucker, we've been trying to tell you that. But now it's only official when white people did the study. They're like, you know what? This thing is true. But motherfucker, we've been trying to tell you that shit is true for a long time. But that's just part of it. It's like, you're not covering anything that doesn't serve you. You know what I mean? You're not covering anything that doesn't serve you anyway.
Yeah, but they're news. They're not cops. I can understand like cops being racist. I get that. But if you're the news source, like you have to just distribute the news. You can't selectively decide what people can and can't hear or what you focus on.
You have to and you should, but they never have.
Well, they should.
They should, but they just never have.
Well,
it's just more obvious now.
What's really fucked up, it isn't really getting nearly as much press as I think it should get, or people haven't really been talking about that much, is how many people were concentrating on that white lady from Australia who got shot unnecessarily by the cop,
right?
Because she was a white lady from Australia,
right?
That, look, no matter what you say, what that is an act. I mean, obviously it's a tragic accident. She's the one who called the cops and then they shot her. But you know how many times they've done that to other people?
But that's my whole point. It's like the news serves. Remember talking about the scrolls and how you can't, if you found the scrolls, you can't help but make a story,
right,
that is in your favor,
right?
Like I forgot the exact words you used, but it's just because, like, your perception is going to come through in this thing. To me, that's how the news has been all my life. Like, whoever owns the news makes news in their favor.
That's always how it's been. Since William Randolph Hearst used to have Hearst publications.
Yeah. So that to me, the news has always been, even if it was, like, slightly inaccurate before, it's just been growingly not accurate.
Yeah, but that drives people fucking crazy.
It does, because people... Because, like, when I was a kid, like a stupid little kid, and I was watching the news, it's just stupid enough to think, like, when when somebody's telling me what's going on in the world, I'm like, the news is God. Like, is it all notes from yeah, like just like a kid that's like, you don't know any better. But how do these people know everything? They're telling you everything. So you're kind of getting programmed to believe this shit. Some people are getting programmed to believe Fox, MSNBC, CNN, and they don't know any better. And they get angry based on what they're being told. And we're not being told everything. We're not being told everything like you're saying. They're not showing both sides, right? Or everything. They're not. There's no reason for the people who own the news to be fair.
That's true. They just have to get people to pay attention.
They just want to get people to get it. So their thing is, how do I make money? Right.
It gotta be outrageous.
We gotta be outrageous. We gotta. Even now, we gotta follow this Russia story, and we gotta make money. This is a soap opera. This is Game of Thrones going on fucking TV. This is like when Katrina, they milked the shit out of Katrina and any tragedy, and they're just milking this. It's like why is everything coming out like, all right, so there was a meeting, so then there was email, so then like it's almost like somebody wrote a script and we're like, today we're gonna give you this part of it. Today we're gonna give you this part of it. Like it's unfolding like a TV show, keeping people's interest.
In a lot of ways, it is like that House of Cards show.
Yeah, it's like House of Cards.
Yeah. And almost even less believable. Like everybody was like,
okay,
House of Cards.
Take a break.
I can't say. I don't want to say what happened. But there's some moments on the show where people go, well, that would never happen. That's not who would get elected. Look at what the fuck is happening. The president's daughter is always behind him with a giant smile on her face. Every time he says anything, she's clapping. It's like he's got his kids in there.
Right.
His kids are running shit.
And his kids are supposed to be running his company. He's supposed to be away from his company. But that's not.
It won't even show his tax